The Aurora Historical Society Museum is like we like to refer to as one of the Aurora's best kept secrets. A lot of people don't know that we're here in the Aurora Memorial Library on what I like to call the lower level, not the basement. Lower level sounds better than being in a basement, but we have a vast collection, and people who come down here are amazed at the museum displays and all the artifacts. We have about 3,200 objects in our collection. We have about 4,300 photos and almost 5,200 documents and artifacts like that. So we have a vast array of things that we're not even able to put out on display because of the size of our museum. And when I became director of the museum in 2014, one of the first things I did was to start to go through as much of this to get familiar with all our objects. And one of the things I came across was a box. It was actually a fruit box that fruit had been shipped to a grocery store in. And opening it up and pulling out the objects that were in the crumpled up newspapers, lo and behold, there were human remains. And upon investigation and looking into it, it turns out that they were Native American remains that the Society had gotten back in the early 1970. And as I researched that, what had happened is that in the process of constructing the Aurora Shores, there was an excavation going on, and in 1970, one of the excavators working there was moving dirt, and as he piled the dirt in one location, he saw what looked like a human skull roll down the hill. Well, he immediately stopped, and the Aurora police were called in to do an investigation. They found 2 skulls, a couple of thigh bones, a rib bone, and lower leg bone. And so the police did their investigation and were undetermined for anything from their investigation. The FBI was called in. They came in and started to do an investigation, and to be able to identify the bones and everything, they were boxed up and sent to the Smithsonian Institute where a study was made. And when the report came back, it was determined that in 1970, the bones were at least 500 years old. They belonged to a young man, a man probably somewhere between 35 and 50 years old, and a young woman. It was suspected that they had been crossing Aurora Pond, Aurora Shores, perhaps during the winter, and thin ice they might have fallen through. But their bones were found in the peat moss, which kind of helped preserve them for a long period of time. So it was determined that there was not a violent death, and their investigation at the Smithsonian went as far as they could go. They did not want to retain the remains because they have more than they need. So they were sent back to the Aurora police, and the then developer of Aurora Shores wanted possession, and there got to be a little battle between the Aurora and the developer of the Aurora Shores. Actually, he had planned, in a letter we have, he had planned to put them on display in their recreation area, wherever it is at Aurora Shores. The county coroner got involved because technically they belong to the county and the city, and he determined no, that they're going to go to the Aurora Historical Society. So somewhere along that period of time after they were discovered, we ended up in possession of them. I guess at one point they might have been on display in the museum, but I'm not sure. But then they were boxed up and put on a shelf. And when I discovered this, with the current situation, the respect for human remains and everything, you certainly wouldn't want to have your grandmother on display or anything like that. And what was the right thing to do? Well, Michael Thaw, who is one of our trustees on the board, contacted an organization that specializes in the repatriation of Indian remains. We had a young woman come out from Maine, Donna Augustine is her name, She was an elder with the Lenape tribe, which was a local Indian tribe. They came from Maine. She came with 2 other women, elders, and they performed a cleansing ceremony down here, a smudging ceremony, not only over the remains, but also the museum and ourselves, because we had been in contact with these remains. And it's believed that when the remains were disturbed back in 1970, their spirits the individual that had perished, their spirits had been divided. And while there were some still remaining buried, the other spirits were now kind of out there, and they needed to be reunited by being buried. So we made a determination to have the bones repatriated as a board. And that's why we called this group to come out. They did their smudging ceremony and took the remains back to Maine, where they actually buried them in an undisclosed area, and where the spirits can be reunited. So, we felt certainly that we had done the appropriate and the only thing that actually should be done with those remains. Before we did, though, there was some discussion on preserving the fact that we had them at one time, and we actually contacted the radiology department at the university hospitals in Ravenna, and we took the remains down there, and they scanned them for us, so that we do have that digital, not the digital, but we do have the scans that we can actually do maybe, casting something later on, digital printing of them. And we had Scott Pease, who's a local photographer, took photos of them also, so that we are the images, and then we have the ability to recreate them if we so do so at a future time. One of our other board members knew about them, and actually apparently before they got placed back on a shelf, he had them sitting on a shelf in his garage for a period of time, So it was quite a long time for these spirits to be wandering around somebody's garage. So that was one of my first experiences as director.